Why do others manage to accomplish more in one day than the rest of us accomplish in a week? Why are the top 1%, the globe's most productive leaders, entrepreneurs and high performers always serene, clear-headed and one step ahead of the pack, while everyone else is in a panic, overwhelmed and constantly playing catch-up? It's not luck. It's not that they get more hours in a day than you. The truth is plain. The world's most successful individuals spend their time differently. They treat time as their most valued asset, their success currency, and they spend it with complete purpose. This audiobook is about unlocking that same mindset. Here, you'll learn how to think about time the way the top 1% do, how to eliminate wasted hours, how to design your day with intention, and how to develop habits that compound into massive results. If you've ever been running around without accomplishing anything, if you've ever finished a week feeling exhausted but having no idea what you actually achieved, if you've ever wished for more time while wondering how other people do so much more, this book will transform your life. Get ready to reclaim your hours, your focus, and your results. This is your roadmap to time management of the most successful one. Chapter 1: The Value of Every Hour. The difference between average productivity and high-level productivity begins with one observation. Time is the most valuable commodity you'll ever have. Unlike money, after you've spent it, it's lost forever. Unlike opportunities, you can't get it back after they're gone. And yet most people use their time inefficiently, giving it to distractions, busy work and other people's priorities. The 1% understand differently. They get that every hour counts. Time for them is not just minutes and seconds. It's decisions and priorities. Every decision about how they spend their time is really a decision about what kind of life they will create. Shifting from busy to purposeful. One of the deadliest traps of modern life is busyness. We're in a culture that admires busyness as if filling up your calendar somehow translates into productivity. Being busy, however, does not necessarily mean being effective. In fact, busyness has a tendency to mask inefficiency. The top 1% don't measure their days in how much they're doing, but how much they're getting done. They focus on high-leverage activities, the handful of things that move them closer to their grand vision, rather than splitting their attention among dozens of trivial tasks. Ask yourself, are you busy so you can be busy? Or are you actually making progress on your biggest goals? The power of opportunity cost. For each activity you're agreeing to, you're disagreeing with something else. That sacrifice is opportunity cost. If you spend an hour on social media scrolling, you're not only losing an hour, you're losing the chance to use that exact same hour to learn, create or grow. The 1% elite constantly calculate this cost. They know that the preservation of their time is the preservation of their future. They tenderly guard their calendars, reduce distractions, and make decisions, not on the most pressing, but on the greatest value generating. Designing time like wealth. Think of saving time like you save money in a bank. If you only had a paltry $24 to spend a day, and at the end of the day whatever dollar you did not spend would disappear, how stingily would you spend it? Would you throw it on nonsense? Or would you spend it on things that multiply your tomorrow? The wealthy consider money like this. The wealthiest 1% consider time like this. They don't squander their hours randomly. They invest them intentionally. Actionable step. The hour audit. Start with a reflection of your day. Track where you spend every single hour for 7 days. Get real. How many hours are wasted on distractions, procrastination, or tasks of low importance? Then ask yourself, what if I spent just 1 wasted hour a day and put it towards something meaningful? In 1 year, that's 5 hours, a whole 9 work weeks of focused momentum. This simple audit is a wake-up call in most cases. It reveals how much time is being wasted behind the scenes, and it provides a doorway to better decision-making. Why this matters? The 1%ers don't wait to be successful or rich to enjoy their time. They are successful because they already enjoy their time. By training yourself to value each hour as one that can never be replaced, you will start living with greater clarity of purpose, clearer priorities, and a deeper sense of urgency for what matters most. Chapter 2. Mastering Focus. The secret weapon of the top 1%. If valuing your time is the foundation, then mastering focus is the weapon that separates the top 1% from everyone else. Productivity is not about doing more things, it's about doing the right things without distraction. Yet most people live in a constant state of distraction. Notifications, endless emails, scrolling feeds and constant interruptions eat away at their attention until nothing meaningful gets done. The elite know something most people overlook. Focus is the new superpower. The myth of multitasking. Multitasking is one of the greatest productivity killers of our age. People wear it like a badge of honor, believing that juggling multiple tasks at once makes them more efficient. In truth, the brain cannot fully focus on more than one cognitively demanding task at a time. Every switch costs time and mental energy. When you bounce between replying to emails, checking social media, and working on a big project, you're not multitasking, you're task switching. Studies show that this can waste up to 40% of your productive time. The top 1% don't try to do everything at once. They do one thing with intensity, then move on. The law of deep work. Cal Newport calls it deep work. The ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. The world rewards deep work, because that's where value is created. Shallow work. Checking emails, answering quick messages, doing small admin tasks, keeps you busy, but doesn't create lasting impact. The top 1% design their days to maximize deep work. They carve out uninterrupted blocks of time to focus on their most valuable projects. They switch off distractions, close unnecessary tabs, and give their best energy to the work that truly moves the needle. Energy management, not just time management. Another secret the top performers understand is that time management is also about energy management. It's not enough to block out hours. You need to align your highest energy moments with your highest value tasks. Think about your day. Are you sharper in the morning or evening? Do you lose energy after lunch? The top 1% don't waste their peak hours on shallow work. They reserve them for creativity, strategy, problem solving and decision making. Their most demanding tasks, routine, low-value tasks are pushed to lower energy times. The role of environment in focus. Focus doesn't only come from within. It's shaped by your environment. If your phone is buzzing every few minutes, if your workspace is cluttered, or if people constantly interrupt you, your ability to focus drops dramatically. That's why the most productive people design environments that protect their attention. They silence notifications. They set boundaries with colleagues. They work in clean, minimal spaces that encourage clarity. They treat their focus as something sacred, worth defending at all costs. The power of saying no. Focus also means protecting your time from commitments that don't align with your priorities. The top 1% say no far more often than they say yes. They know that every yes to something unimportant is really a no to something vital. Saying no doesn't make you rude or difficult. It makes you disciplined. It ensures that your hours are invested in things that actually matter to your goals and your growth. Practical steps. Building focus. Like the top 1%. Protect these blocks. Like an appointment you cannot miss. Silence the noise. Turn off notifications. Use website blockers and put your phone out of sight. Create a ritual that signals your brain it's time to focus. Prioritize energy peaks. Do your most important work when your energy is highest. For many, that's the morning. But know yourself and plan accordingly. Declutter your space. A clear desk creates a clear mind. Remove visual clutter that pulls your attention away from the task at hand. Say no boldly. Practice declining requests that don't align with your goals. Every no creates more space for your priorities. Why focus defines success. In a world of endless noise, those who can focus will always rise above. The average person drowns in distractions, giving their best energy to things that don't matter. The top 1% conserve their energy, guard their focus and apply it where it counts. Focus is not just about getting more done. It's about creating results that last. 1 hour of focused work can achieve more than a full day of distracted effort. Master this skill, and you'll separate yourself from night. Chapter 3. The Power of Systems. Turning discipline into automation. Discipline alone is not enough. Yes, it gets you moving. Yes, it keeps you committed. But here's the truth the top 1% know. Willpower is fragile. It tires out. It gets weaker with stress, fatigue, or temptation. If you try to rely on willpower every single day to manage your time, you will eventually fail. The elite don't depend on sheer discipline. Instead, they build systems that automate discipline. Systems are the invisible structures that make productivity inevitable and distraction harder. While most people try to fight their habits daily, the top 1% design their lives so that success becomes the default. Why systems beat motivation. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. Willpower is limited. It runs out. Systems, however, don't depend on how you feel. Once you create them, they keep working in the background. Think of it this way. Brushing your teeth isn't about motivation. It's a system, a habit you don't even question. The same can be done with your time. You can design your days, weeks, and even environments so that your most important tasks happen automatically. The most successful people don't ask, "How do I force myself to stay productive today?" They ask, "What system can I build so productivity happens automatically?" The system of prioritization. The 80-20 rule. One of the most powerful systems is the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. It says that 80% of results come from 20% of efforts. For time management, this is revolutionary. Most people spread themselves thin across dozens of tasks that don't matter. The top 1% ruthlessly identify the 20% of activities that generate the biggest outcomes, and they design systems to make those activities non-negotiable. Example: Tava. A business owner may realize that just 2 clients generate most of their revenue. Their system then becomes focused on serving and retaining those clients above all. A writer may see that only their deep, distraction-free writing sessions actually move projects forward. They then build a system where those writing hours are sacred, automated and untouchable. Time blocking. The architecture of systems. The top 1% don't let the day happen to them. They build time blocks that act as invisible guardrails for productivity. Each block has a clear purpose. For example, Tava. Morning block. Deep work only. No meetings. No distractions. Midday block. Calls, collaboration or external communication. By dividing the day into structured systems, they avoid the trap of reacting to emails or random requests. Every hour has a job. This system makes it easier to stay focused because the decision is already made in advance. Rituals. Microsystems that compound. The elite understand that small rituals create big results. These are systems at the micro level, repeated daily until they become part of identity. Examples of rituals. Eva. Morning rituals. Exercise. Journaling. Reading. Or planning the day before diving into work. Estival rituals. Reviewing accomplishments, writing tomorrow's to-do list, and shutting down work devices to protect rest. Focus rituals. A pre-work routine, like clearing the desk, closing all tabs, and setting a timer before diving into deep work. These rituals eliminate wasted energy from decision-making and put the brain into the right state automatically. Leveraging technology as a system. Technology can be a trap when used poorly, but a weapon when used well. The top 1% leverage tools not for distraction but for automation. Task managers. Tools like Todoist, Notion, or Asana to prevent mental clutter. Focus tools. Website blockers, distraction-free modes, or the Pomodoro timer. Automations. Simple scripts or integrations that remove repetitive manual tasks. The goal is not to rely on memory or willpower. Instead, let systems remind you, guide you, and free your energy for what truly matters. The compounding power of systems. Here's the most overlooked secret. Systems compound over time. A single productive habit may feel small, but when repeated consistently, it transforms everything. Think about someone who protects 3 hours of deep work daily. That's over 700 hours a year of high-value output, far beyond the average worker. Reads for 30 minutes every morning. That's over 180 hours of reading yearly, equivalent to 30 POS books. Exercises 4 times a week. That's over 200 sessions a year, leading to more energy, focus and longevity. These systems don't just add value, they multiply it. Over months and years they create a gap so wide between the top 1% and everyone else, that it becomes impossible to catch up. Practical steps. Designing systems like the top 1%. Identify your 20%. List all your tasks, then highlight the few that create the most result. Build your schedule around them. Block your calendar. Pre-plan your day into deep work, communication, and admin blocks. Treat these as non-negotiable. Create rituals. Morning, shut down and focus rituals that prime you for success without thought. Automate with technology. Use apps to remind, block, or automate tasks. Don't rely on memory. Review weekly. Adjust your systems weekly to ensure they serve your goals, not just your habit. Why systems are the real secret. The top 1% don't achieve massive success because they're more motivated than you. They don't magically wake up with endless willpower. Instead, they've built invisible systems that carry them forward, even when they feel tired, unmotivated, or distracted. Average people spend their energy deciding what to do every day. The top 1% spend their energy executing what their systems have already designed. That's why systems are the real secret weapon of productivity. Once in place, they make success predictable and failure unlikely. Chapter 4. Mastering Focus. Protecting your attention like a billion-dollar asset. If time is the currency of life, then focus is the amplifier. 2 people can have the same amount of time, but the one who masters focus will achieve 10 times more with it. The top 1% know this truth. It's not about how many hours you work, but how deeply you can work in the hours you have. In a world that thrives on distraction, focus has become the most valuable superpower. This chapter will explore how the top 1% protect, strengthen, and weaponize their focus to dominate in their fields. The modern war on focus. Every day, your attention is under attack. Notifications, endless feeds, emails, and news alerts are designed to hijack your brain. Studies show the average person's attention span has dropped to just 8 seconds, shorter than a goldfish. Distraction costs more than wasted minutes. Every time you switch tasks, it can take 20-25 minutes for your brain to fully refocus. Imagine losing hours each day, not because you didn't have enough time, but because your focus was constantly shattered. The top 1% treat focus as if it were money in a bank account. They spend it carefully, invest it wisely, and never waste it on trivial things. Deep work, the crown jewel of focus. Cal Newport popularized the idea of deep work, the ability to concentrate without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks. This is where breakthroughs happen, where books are written, businesses are built, and innovations are born. Shallow work, emails, meetings, surface-level tasks, keeps you busy. Deep work, strategy, creation, problem-solving, makes you valuable. The top 1% design their schedules around deep work. They protect to-dos 4-hour blocks, where their phones are off, their environment is distraction-free, and their energy is directed toward their highest value activities. Creating a focus-first environment. Your environment shapes your focus more than your willpower. The elite understand this, and design spaces that eliminate temptation. Practical steps. Key. Clean workspace. A cluttered desk creates a cluttered mind. Simplicity breeds clarity. Single tasking setup. Only the tools needed for the current task are on the desk or open on the screen. Distraction barriers. Website blockers, phone in another room, or noise-canceling headphones. Focus triggers. A specific playlist, a scent, or a ritual that signals the brain. Now we work deeply. By controlling the environment, focus becomes easy. Energy management. The hidden key. Focus isn't just about attention. It's about energy. The top 1% don't expect peak focus at random times. They know their natural energy cycles and align work with the morning energy peaks. Many high performers schedule deep work in the early hours, when willpower and clarity are strongest. Ultradian rhythms. The brain works best in 90-120-minute cycles, followed by rest. The elite work in intense bursts, then recharge before the next cycle. Rest as strategy. Breaks, naps, and exercise aren't luxuries, they are investments in focus. Instead of pushing endlessly, they balance sprints of focus with recovery, multiplying effectiveness. The myth of multitasking. Multitasking feels productive, but science proves it destroys focus. Your brain cannot process two complex tasks at the same time. It just switches rapidly between them, wasting energy and reducing accuracy. The top 1% embrace single tasking. When they write, they write. When they listen, they listen. When they strategize, they strategize. This deep immersion produces results that multitaskers can never achieve. The discipline of saying no. Focus is not just about what you do. It's about what you refuse to do. The most successful people in the world are ruthless with their attention. They say no far more than they say yes. They decline unnecessary meetings. They ignore low-value requests. They protect their calendars like a fortress. To the average person, this may seem selfish, but in reality it's strategic. Every yes to a distraction is a no to deep focus on what truly matters. Training your focus muscle. Focus is not fixed, it's trainable. Just as you strengthen a muscle with consistent exercise, you can strengthen your ability to concentrate. Methods include, over time, increase the duration of focus, mindfulness and meditation. Training the mind to return to the present moment builds awareness and control. Digital detox sessions. Periods of time without any screens help reset the brain and rebuild attention span. Reading long-form content. Books and essays demand sustained focus. Retraining the brain away from bite-sized scrolling. The top 1% invest in sharpening focus, like others invest in fitness. The compounding value of focus. When you add hours of true focus over days, weeks, and years, the results are staggering. 2 hours of deep work daily over 700 hours a year of concentrated progress. 3 hours daily over 1,000 hours a year. The equivalent of 25 full work weeks dedicated only to high-value output. This is how world-class performers pull away from the pack. Not by working endlessly, but by working with extreme depth. Practical action steps to master focus. Schedule deep work first. Protect it like an appointment with your future self. Redesign your environment. Remove clutter, distractions and digital temptation. Stop multitasking. Focus on one thing. Finish it, then move on. Say no aggressively. Guard your calendar from low-value demands. Train your attention. Use Pomodoro meditation and long-form reading to build stamina. The billion-dollar asset. Focus is worth more than money, because money without focus is wasted. Focus is worth more than time, because time without focus is unproductive. The top 1% know this secret. Attention is the ultimate currency. Whoever controls their focus controls their destiny. When you master focus, you collapse timelines. What takes others months can take you weeks. What feels impossible for most becomes inevitable for you. That's why the top 1% guard their attention with the same intensity you'd guard a billion-dollar fortune. Chapter 5. The Power of Systems. Automating Success. The most successful people in the world understand something most overlook. Discipline and focus alone are not enough. Even the most disciplined person will eventually tire, slip, or face decision fatigue. What separates the top 1% from the rest is their ability to design systems, structures that carry their goals forward even when willpower fails. Systems are the hidden engines of productivity. They are the reason why elite performers achieve consistent results year after year, while others rely on motivation. The top 1% rely on mechanisms, habits and routines that make success almost automatic. Why systems beat willpower? Willpower is like a battery, strong in the morning, but drained by the evening. Every decision you make, what to eat, when to work, whether to exercise, chips away at it. Systems remove the need for constant decision-making. Instead of asking yourself every day whether you'll go to the gym, a system ensures you're already packed and scheduled. Instead of deciding when to write, a calendar block tells you exactly when. This is why the 1% seem tireless. Their lives run on systems that reduce friction and conserve mental energy. The psychology of systems. Your brain craves predictability. When behaviors are automated, they consume less energy. This frees up mental capacity for creativity, problem solving, and strategy. The tasks that truly move the needle. Think of a pilot before takeoff. They follow a checklist, not because they lack intelligence, but because checklists eliminate errors. In the same way, systems for your life and work eliminate wasted effort and prevent costly mistakes. Examples of systems in action. The top 1% design systems for every critical area of their lives. Financial systems, health systems, pre-planned weekly meals or personal chef services, workout times locked in like meetings, sleep environments optimized for rest, dark rooms, no screens, consistent routine, delegation structures that ensure the right people handle the right jobs. Automated reminders and workflows through technology. Learning system. Each of these reduces randomness, increases efficiency, and ensures progress continues without requiring constant force of will. Building keystone systems. Not all systems are equal. Some have a disproportionately high impact. These are keystone systems. Once in place, they ripple into other areas of your life. For example, a morning routine system sets the tone for the entire day. A weekly planning ritual ensures focus for the next 7 days. A review system at the end of each month keeps long-term goals on track. The 1% identify which systems give them the most leverage, and they build those first. The role of technology in systems. Technology, when used intentionally, supercharges systems. Instead of relying on memory, the elite outsource logistics to tools, calendar apps for non-negotiable scheduling, Task managers like Todoist or Notion. Financial apps that automate savings, investments and expense tracking. Habit trackers that reinforce consistency. But here's the critical distinction. The top 1% use technology to support systems, not replace them. Without discipline, tools are just distractions. With systems, tools become force multipliers. Decision fatigue and system design. Research shows that the more decisions you make in a day, the worse those decisions become. Judges grant fewer paroles later in the day. CEOs make poorer choices when overwhelmed with decisions. That's why many successful people simplify. Steve Jobs wore the same black turtleneck daily. Warren Buffett eats similar breakfasts. Mark Zuckerberg wears plain t-shirt. This isn't about fashion. It's about removing trivial decisions, so their energy is reserved for billion-dollar choices. Systems reduce decision fatigue and preserve focus for the big things. When systems break down, no system's perfect. Even the best designed routines face interruptions. Travel, emergencies, unexpected events. The difference is that the 1% don't abandon the system. They reset quickly. They build in flexibility. If a workout is missed, the system includes a backup time. If a deep work block is interrupted, it shifts but isn't erased. Systems create resilience, allowing momentum to continue despite setbacks. How to create your own system: automate or simplify. Use tools, templates or routines to reduce friction. Start small. Build one simple system at a time. Don't overhaul your entire life at once. Test and refine. Systems are living things. Adjust them as your needs change. Document and lock in. Write down your systems so they're clear and repeatable. From chaos to consistency. The average person lives in a cycle of chaos, constantly reacting to circumstances. The top 1% live in a rhythm of consistency, guided by systems that protect their priorities. Systems turn goals into inevitabilities. Without systems, even the strongest willpower will eventually crumble. With them, you create a life where success compounds quietly in the background day after day. The quiet advantage of systems. Here's the hidden truth. Systems are boring. They're not glamorous, they don't go viral, and no one praises you for sticking to them. But they're the quiet advantage that builds unstoppable momentum. When you look at the 1% and wonder how they achieve so much, remember, it's not luck, it's not even pure talent. It's system. Systems free them from chaos, preserve their energy, and ensure they're always building, even on their worst days. That's the secret weapon most people never master. Chapter 6: The Discipline of Execution. Turning plans into results. Planning is important. Systems are vital. But none of it matters if execution fails. The truth is, the world is full of people with great ideas, neatly organized planners and beautifully designed systems who still get nowhere. Why? Because they don't execute. The top 1% succeed not because they always have the best ideas, but because they act on their ideas consistently. Execution is the bridge between dreams and results. Without it, goals remain fantasies. With it, even average plans produce extraordinary outcomes. The gap between knowing and doing. We live in an age of unlimited information. Everyone has access to books, courses, podcasts, and mentors. Yet most people struggle with results. The problem isn't knowledge, it's implementation. Execution requires courage to start, consistency to continue, and discipline to finish. The top 1% understand that action beats perfection. They'd rather move forward imperfectly than stand still waiting for the perfect plan. Why execution fails? For most people, fear of imperfection, waiting for conditions to be just right, distraction, starting projects then abandoning them for the next shiny thing, lack of deadlines. Without urgency, tasks expand endlessly. Parkinson's law. Weak accountability. With no one checking progress, procrastination creeps in. Overwhelm. Goals are too vague or too big, making action paralyzing. The 1% eliminate these barriers with structure and discipline. The rule of clarity. Execution thrives on clarity. Vague goals lead to vague action. Compare these two. I want to be healthier. I will work out at 7 a.m. Monday to Friday for 45 minutes. The first is a wish. The second is an executable plan. The elite define their actions in specific, measurable terms. They know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to track progress. Prioritizing ruthlessly. Execution isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the most important things first. The 1% practice ruthless prioritization. They identify the 20% of tasks that create 80% of results. Pareto principle. And attack them with energy. They don't confuse activity with productivity. Busy work is avoided. They move directly to high-leverage tasks that advance their biggest goal. The discipline of deadlines. Without deadlines, even small tasks stretch endlessly. Parkinson's law states, work expands to fill the time available for its completion. The top performers create artificial urgency. If something could take 2 weeks, they give themselves 3 days. This constraint forces focus, eliminates fluff and accelerates results. Deadlines don't only create speed, they also build momentum. A finished task fuels motivation to complete the next. Progress compounds. Accountability and execution. Most people fail silently because no one is watching. The 1% create accountability structures. They report progress to mentors, coaches, or peers. Use tracking systems where results are visible. Share commitments publicly, creating social pressure. When others expect results, execution skyrockets. Accountability transforms vague intentions into real commitments. The power of starting small. Massive goals can paralyze execution. That's why elite performers master the art of starting small but moving fast. Instead of writing a book, they commit to 500 words daily. Instead of getting fit, they start with 20 minutes of exercise. Instead of overhauling finances, they begin with one automated transfer. Small, consistent actions compound into massive outcomes. Execution doesn't require giant leaps. It requires relentless steps. Managing resistance. Every great task meets resistance. Distractions appear. Doubt creeps in. Excuses feel justified. The difference between the 1% and the rest is that they expect resistance and prepare for it. They use tactics like time blocking, protecting execution time from interruptions. 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Implementation intentions. Planning responses to common obstacles in advance. If X happens, I will do. They don't wait for motivation. They create conditions where action is unavoidable. Feedback loops and adjustment. Execution isn't just doing. It's learning while doing. The elite evaluate results continuously. If a strategy doesn't work, they adjust instead of quitting. Every action provides feedback. What worked? What wasted time? What can be improved? Execution is a cycle of action, reflection and refinement. That's how progress becomes exponential. Case study. 2 entrepreneurs. Entrepreneur spends weeks designing the perfect plan, researching tools, and waiting for the right moment. They never launch. Entrepreneur B drafts a basic version of the product, tests it with 10 customers, and improves it based on feedback. One remains stuck in planning. The other builds momentum. In 1 year, Entrepreneur B is thriving while Entrepreneur still planning. Execution, not planning, creates success. Daily execution habits of the 1%. Start the day with your round 1 task. Attack the most important project before distractions steal your energy. Set hard deadlines. Shorten timelines to create urgency. Track daily wins. Progress fuels motivation. Record achievements daily. Limit task switching. One task at a time, full focus. Close every loop. Don't leave open tasks hanging. Completion builds confidence. Why execution defines the top 1%. Ideas are plentiful. Plans are common. Systems are achievable, but execution is rare. And that rarity is what creates success. The top 1% aren't necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who consistently do what they say they will do. While others procrastinate, they act. While others make excuses, they deliver. While others wait, they move. In the end, execution is the true measure of productivity. Without it, nothing matters. With it, everything changes. Chapter 7. Mastering Energy Management. The hidden key to productivity. Time management alone isn't enough. You could have the most structured calendar in the world, the clearest goals and the sharpest systems. But if your energy is depleted, you won't perform. The top 1% know that productivity isn't just about managing hours. It's about managing energy. Every task requires focus, creativity, and discipline, all of which depend on the state of your body and mind. This is why the most successful people treat their energy like a sacred resource. The energy-productivity connection. Think about this. Two people both have 8 hours in a day. One accomplishes twice as much as the other, not because they worked harder, but because they worked at the right energy levels. When energy is high, focus sharpens. Creativity flows. Decisions are faster. When energy is low, even simple tasks feel impossible. Distractions multiply. Mistakes increase. Time is fixed. Energy is renewable. And the top 1% optimize it. The 4 dimensions of energy. Elite performers treat energy holistically, not just physically. They manage 4 dimensions. A physical energy, fuel from sleep, nutrition, and exercise. Emotional energy, the ability to stay positive, calm, and motivated under pressure. Mental energy, focus, clarity, and cognitive sharpness. Spiritual energy, a sense of purpose and alignment with bigger goals. When these 4 dimensions are balanced, execution feels effortless. When one collapses, performance crumbles. Physical energy, the foundation of performance. Your body is your productivity machine. The elite protect it fiercely. They sleep as strategy. The 1% don't brag about sleeping less. They optimize rest. 7-8 hours of quality sleep improves memory, reaction time, and creativity. They follow consistent sleep schedules and cut off screens before bed. They fuel don't just eat. Instead of eating for convenience, they eat for performance. High-quality proteins, whole foods, hydration. They know blood sugar spikes, energy crashes. Movement-y energy. Daily exercise isn't optional. Even a 20-minute workout sharpens focus for hours. Movement creates momentum. A drained body equals a drained mind. Emotional energy, protecting your inner state. Time management fails if emotional energy is negative. Stress, frustration, and resentment drain more energy than any workload. The top 1% manage emotional energy by emotional recovery, taking breaks to reset instead of forcing constant output. Emotional balance turns discipline into something sustainable, not exhausting. Mental energy focus is fuel. Your mind is like a battery. Every decision, every distraction, every switch drains it. The elite preserve mental energy by reducing decisions, automating small choices, e.g., meal prepping, simple wardrobes, single tasking, focusing fully on one task rather than splitting attention, strategic breaks, working in cycles, 90 minutes on, 10-15 minutes off, to refresh attention. They understand that focus is a finite resource, and they protect it like treasure. Spiritual energy, the power of purpose. Purpose fuels endurance. Without it, even small challenges feel heavy. With it, even massive goals feel meaningful. The top 1% are deeply connected to why they do what they do. Their energy doesn't just come from sleep or food. It comes from mission. Entrepreneurs endure failures because they believe in their vision. Athletes push through pain because they see a bigger prize. Leaders sustain long hours because they know they're serving others. Purpose transforms work from draining to energizing. The energy rhythms of the day. Energy isn't constant. It rises and falls throughout the day. Top performers design their schedules around natural rhythms. Morning peak. The brain is sharpest after rest. They tackle their most demanding tasks here. Afternoon dip. Energy drops after lunch. They schedule lighter tasks, calls, or breaks. Evening recharge. Instead of grinding endlessly, they use evenings for recovery, reflection, reading, light exercise, family. By aligning tasks with energy levels, they multiply output without adding hours. Recovery as a productivity tool. Most people think recovery is a luxury. The top 1% see it as a necessity. Just like athletes recover between games, peak performers recover between work sprints. Micro recovery. 5 minutes of deep breathing, stretching, or a short walk. Macro recovery. Vacations. Weekends off. Digital detoxes to reset long-term. Active rest. Engaging in hobbies, nature, or meaningful relationships that restore energy instead of draining it. Recovery isn't wasted time. It's preparation for high performance. Case study. 2 executives. Executive A works 12 hours daily, fueled by caffeine, skipping workouts, cutting sleep. Their energy tanks. Mistakes rise. Motivation plummets. Executive B works 8 focused hours, prioritizes exercise, eats well, and sleeps 7. Their decisions are sharper, output higher, and stress lower. The difference? Energy management. More hours don't equal more results. Better energy does. Practical energy hacks of the 1%. Hydrate before coffee. Water first thing in the morning resets alertness. Move every hour. Short bursts of movement keep energy flowing. Protect sleep windows. Go to bed and wake up at consistent times. Guard mornings fiercely. No phone, no distractions. Just focused output. Eat light during work hours. Heavy meals is sluggish energy. Use downtime wisely. Commutes, waiting lines, and transitions become opportunities for reflection or learning, not endless scrolling. Why energy mastery sets the top 1% apart. Most people try to squeeze more hours into their day. The elite focus on squeezing more energy out of each hour. They understand that high energy is high leverage. When energy is managed, productivity soars. When energy is ignored, time slips away. In the end, success doesn't just belong to the hardest workers. It belongs to the smartest energy managers. Chapter 8. The Power of Systems. Automating Success. You've learned how to structure time, protect focus, and manage energy. But here's the truth. None of it is sustainable without systems. Discipline gets you started, but systems keep you going. Willpower is temporary, but systems make success automatic. The top 1% don't rely on motivation every day. They build systems so that productivity becomes the default, not the exception. Why systems beat motivation every time? Most people operate in a cycle. They feel motivated. They work hard. Motivation fades. They slow down. This creates inconsistency. But the elite understand that motivation is fleeting. Habits are powerful. Systems are unbreakable. A system is a repeatable process that reduces decision fatigue, increases efficiency, and guarantees results. When your life runs on systems, success stops being accidental and starts being inevitable. The anatomy of a high-performance system. Every effective system has 3 parts. A trigger. What starts the action? Alarm, schedule, reminder. Environment, cue. Process. The repeatable steps. Your morning routine. Your workflow. Your calendar. Reward. The payoff that reinforces it. Progress. Relief. Or positive emotion. The 1% design these loops deliberately. For example, trigger. Wake up. Phone stays outside the bedroom. Process. 20 minutes of exercise. Journaling. Then deep work session. Reward. Clear mind. Energized start. Big progress before distractions begin. Repeat this daily, and it becomes automatic. The calendar as a system. Top performers don't just use a calendar, they live by it. Their calendars are systems for focus and execution. Time blocking. Assigning tasks to specific blocks eliminates decision-making. Themed days. Grouping tasks by type. Meetings, creative work. Admin. Creates rhythm. Sacred hours. Protecting non-negotiable time blocks for deep work or recovery. Their calendars are designed with intention, not filled reactively. The 2-minute rule. Microsystems. Small systems are as powerful as large ones. The 2-minute rule says, A key. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This system prevents clutter, procrastination, and backlog. For the top 1%, these microsystems keep mental space clear for bigger priorities. Delegation as a system. The top 1% don't try to do everything. They build systems of delegation to multiply their automation. Technology handles repetitive tasks, bill payments, scheduling, reminders, outsourcing, assistance, freelancers or services handle tasks outside their zone of genius. Checklists. Standard processes ensure quality without wasting mental bandwidth. This isn't laziness. It's leverage. They know their time is worth more when spent on high-value activities. Environment as a system. Your environment is silently shaping your behavior. The elite design their spaces to push them toward success. Automatic digital environment. No cluttered desktops. Notifications off. Apps organized. Work environment. Clean desk, tools ready. No distractions within reach. Home environment. Spaces designed for rest, focus, or family. Not constant interruption. The system is simple. Design the environment. The environment designs your behavior. Case study. The systemized morning. Average person's morning. Top 1% morning system. Alarm, rise immediately. Trigger. 5 minutes of hydration and movement. Process. Review priorities and gratitude journaling. Process. Enter first deep work block with energy. Reward. By 9 a.m. They're ahead while others are still waking up. Compound growth. Through systems. The biggest advantage of systems isn't just consistency. It's compounding. A system of daily writing, books over time. A system of daily investments is wealth over decades. A system of learning means mastery of new skill. One system may not look impressive today, but over months and years, it separates the 1% from everyone else. Eliminating friction with systems. The elite constantly ask, how can I make the right action easier and the wrong action hard? Examples. Gym clothes laid out the night before, easier to exercise. Junk food not in the house, harder to overeat. Focus apps blocking distractions, easier to work deeply. This is systemization. Changing the default so success requires less effort. Systemizing recovery. Most people systemize work but not rest. The top 1% know recovery fuels performance, so they build recovery into their systems. Evening shutdown routine. A process to transition out of work. Review tasks. Close laptop. No work email after certain hours. Weekend rituals. Time blocked for family, hobbies and rest. Sleep hygiene. Consistent routines before bed to signal the body it's time to recharge. When rest is systemized, burnout becomes preventable. The danger of relying on willpower alone. Willpower is like a battery. It drains throughout the day. Systems eliminate the need for constant decision-making. That's why the top 1% don't ask, "How do I stay motivated?" They ask, "How can I build a system so motivation isn't necessary?" Practical steps to build your own systems. Identify one area of life where you're inconsistent. Break it into trigger, process, reward. Simplify it so it requires minimal decision-making. Repeat daily until it becomes automatic. Scale by building new systems in other areas. Start small. One strong system can change your trajectory. Why systems are the secret weapon of the top 1%. Anyone can have goals. Anyone can be motivated for a week. But only the disciplined build systems that guarantee progress. Systems transform good intentions into consistent execution. Systems reduce chaos, stress and wasted time. Systems create momentum so powerful that success becomes predictable. And that is why the top 1% never ask, "How do I stay disciplined every day?" They ask, "What system will make discipline automatic?" Chapter 9. Mastering the long game. Thinking in decades, acting in days. The biggest difference between average performers and the top 1% is not intelligence, talent, or even work ethic. It's time horizon. Most people think in days and weeks. Some think in months. A few think in years, but the elite, they think in decades. They live today with urgency, but they plan their lives as though they'll win over 10, 20, even 50 years. This combination, long-term vision, daily execution, is the ultimate productivity multiplier. Why most people fail at the long game. Chasing quick wins. The majority want instant gratification. They trade long-term rewards for immediate comfort. Shiny object syndrome. Constantly switching goals, projects or methods. Never giving compounding a chance to work. Short-term crises. Letting daily emergencies dictate their time. Leaving no room for strategic progress. Lack of patience. They underestimate how much can be achieved in 10 years, and overestimate what can be achieved in one. The 1% don't fall into this trap. They understand that success is compounding. The compounding power of time. Albert Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. The same applies to productivity and growth. Avic skills compound. Learn one new thing every day, and in 10 years, you're unrecognizable. Habits compound. Small routines grow into massive life changes. Wealth compounds. Investments grow exponentially when left untouched. Reputation compounds. Every consistent action builds trust, authority, and opportunities. The average person interrupts compounding with inconsistency. The top 1% protect it at all costs. How the 1% design their long game. Crystal clear. North Star. They define where they want to be in 10, 20 years. Not vague dreams, but vivid, measurable outcome. Example: not be wealthy, but build a portfolio generating $250,000 annually in passive income. Checkpoint. 1-year objective. Quarterly actions. Weekly execution. Non-negotiable priorities. They identify the few activities with the greatest long-term payoff and refuse to compromise on. Balancing daily execution with long-term vision. The challenge is simple. How do you act urgently, without losing sight of the bigger picture? The 1% solve it with dual thinking. In the morning they focus on today's battle. In the evening, they zoom out to the bigger war. They measure progress both daily, tasks completed, and strategically, alignment with the long-term vision. This prevents two extremes. Time expenses. One of the most powerful mind shifts of the 1% is seeing time the way most see money. Time expenses. Tasks that disappear the moment they're done. Emails, errands, random scrolling. Time investments. Tasks that keep paying dividends long after. Writing, building assets, creating systems, nurturing relationships. The elite ruthlessly reduce expenses and maximize investment. Every hour is judged by this question. Will this activity create value tomorrow, or will it vanish the moment it's over? The discipline of saying no. The longer your time horizon, the clearer it becomes. Every yes is a 10-year commitment. Every distraction today costs you compounding tomorrow. The top 1% master the art of strategic no's. They decline short-term wins, trends, and even attractive opportunities that don't align with their 10-year vision. They understand that focus Case study. Warren Buffett's 25-5 rule. Buffett once told a pilot to list his top 25 career goals. Then he said, "Tackle your top 5. Avoid the other 20 at all costs." Why? Because those almost important goals are the deadliest distractions. They keep you busy, but not effective. This is long game thinking, focusing only on what moves the needle. The role of patience in the long game. The top 1% don't measure success by weeks or even months. They understand that great results take seasons, years, and sometimes decades. The writer who publishes daily for 10 years. The investor who lets money grow untouched. The athlete who trains consistently for 2 decades. Patience is not passive. It's active waiting, fueled by daily discipline. The system of iteration. Long game thinkers aren't rigid. They don't set a 10-year plan and blindly follow it. Instead, they adapt continuously, while keeping the long-term direction intact. Review cycles. Weekly, quarterly, annual reviews to realign actions with vision. Course correction. If something isn't compounding, they adjust early. Resilience. They expect setbacks but never abandon the long horizon. This combination of consistency, adaptability, makes them unstoppable. The mental game. Delayed gratification. At the core of the long game is the ability to delay gratification, the ability to sacrifice today for tomorrow. Most people can't wait. They want the dopamine hit now. The 1% build mental toughness by embracing saving instead of spending, learning instead of entertainment, building instead of consuming. It's not deprivation, it's investment in the future self. Building a legacy. The ultimate long game isn't just about wealth, success, or productivity. It's about legacy. The top 1% ask themselves, what impact will my actions today have in 50? What will people remember about the way I lived, worked, and served? Legacy is the longest timeline of all. When you think like this, time becomes sacred. Practical steps to start playing the long game. Break it into annual and quarterly targets. Identify your top 3 compounding activities. Ruthlessly eliminate distractions that don't serve the vision. Why thinking in decades gives you power today. Ironically, the moment you shift into long game thinking, your present day stress decreases. Every setback becomes temporary. You stop obsessing over quick wins and instead play for the ultimate win. And that's why the top 1% are calm in crisis, consistent in action, and relentless in vision. Because they're not playing for this week, they're playing for the next 30. Chapter 10. Living like the top 1%. Turning principles into a lifestyle. By now you've explored strategies, mindsets, and disciplines that the world's most productive and successful people use. But here's the truth. Knowledge alone changes nothing. The difference between knowing and doing is discipline. The gap between hearing these ideas and living them is action. And the top 1% don't just practice productivity principles occasionally, they embody them daily. For them, productivity isn't a tactic, it's a way of life. This final chapter brings everything together, not as a summary, but as a blueprint for turning theory into practice, and practice into a permanent lifestyle of impact, wealth, freedom, and mastery of time. The core truth: time is life. Time is not just minutes on a clock. It is life itself. Waste your time and you waste your life. Master your time and you master your life. The top 1% live with this awareness. They don't casually spend hours in distraction, because they understand those hours represent opportunities, relationships, health, and dreams. Every day is treated as a non-renewable resource. The most successful don't seek work-life balance in the shallow sense. They design their lives so that work and life serve the same purpose. Their careers, businesses, and personal lives all point toward one aligned vision. Identity over goals. Most people chase goals. The top 1% focus on identity. The average person says, "I want to be more disciplined." The top 1% says, "I am disciplined." Discipline is who I am. Goals are temporary. Identity is permanent. When you shift from chasing outcomes to embodying a new self, productivity no longer feels forced. It becomes natural. For example, they don't just set a goal to read more. Become the kind of person who never lets a day pass without reading. Don't just aim to wake up earlier. Become the person who values mornings as sacred. Don't just try to be consistent. Become consistency itself. The 1% anchor their productivity to identity, not willpower. Systems over motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Systems are permanent. Motivation is why you feel like exercising today. Systems are why you exercise even when you don't feel like it. The top 1% don't rely on bursts of inspiration. They rely on habits, structures, and environments that keep them productive regardless of mood. Examples of systems they use: morning routines, clear, repeatable actions that start every day with clarity; weekly reviews, consistent reflection and planning to adjust course; task batching, grouping similar tasks to save energy and time; automation and delegation, removing themselves from low-value activities. Systems create freedom because they reduce decision fatigue. You don't waste energy deciding what to do. You just follow the system. Guardrails for focus. Even the elite are human. They too get distracted, tired, or tempted. The difference is that they build guardrails to keep themselves on track. They track their time. They review their progress. They eliminate temptations before they arrive. They create accountability by surrounding themselves with people who demand their best. This isn't about willpower. It's about designing life in such a way that success is the default, not the exception. The productivity pyramid of the top 1%. Imagine productivity as a pyramid, with 3 levels. 8. Foundation. Energy, health, sleep, nutrition, and fitness. Without energy, productivity collapses. Middle. Focus. Guarding attention. Doing deep work. Eliminating distraction. Peak. Leverage. Using tools, delegation, money, and networks to multiply results. The top 1% constantly strengthen all 3 layers. They know that skipping one weakens the rest. Multiplying time through leverage. No matter how efficient you are, there are only 24 hours in a day. The top 1% escape this limitation by leveraging other people's time, technology, and capital. They build teams. They invest in systems that run without them. They create assets, books, courses, investments that earn while they sleep. The average person only trades time for money. The elite multiply time by creating engines of value, living with non-negotiables. The 1% live by non-negotiables, rules they don't break, no matter what. Examples: always exercising at least 30 minutes daily, always spending time with family without devices, always reviewing finances weekly, always protecting deep work time. These non-negotiables create consistency without decision fatigue. When rules are absolute, energy isn't wasted on debate. Designing the ideal week. One of the most powerful tools the 1% use is the ideal week template. Instead of leaving schedules to chance, they design their weeks in advance. Mornings for high-value creative work, afternoons for meetings, execution and calls, evenings for relationships, recovery and learning, weekends for rest, reflection and long-term thinking. This design creates rhythm and predictability, reducing chaos and maximizing flow. The legacy mindset. The top 1% don't live just for productivity. They live for legacy. Their measure of success isn't only money or fame, but the impact they leave behind. They ask questions like, how will my work affect the next generation? What kind of person will I be remembered as? Am I building something that lasts beyond me? This perspective makes them act with integrity, discipline and courage. Productivity is not just about personal gain. It's about contribution. Practical blueprint to live like the 1%. Here is a framework you can apply today. Set your North Star. Write down your 10-year vision in vivid detail. Build your systems. Morning routines, weekly reviews, deep work blocks. Guard your time. Say no often. Set boundaries. Protect focus. Leverage relentlessly. Use tools, people and capital to multiply effort. Measure consistently. Track habits, outcomes and alignment with vision. Evolve continuously. Review, refine and improve without losing momentum. Becoming the 1% in practice. The world will always try to pull you into distraction, urgency and mediocrity. The path of the 1% is not easy, but it is clear. Live each day with urgency. Work each decade with patience. Value time more than money. Build systems stronger than motivation. Focus deeply on what truly matters. Align everything you do with legacy. When these principles stop being concepts and become your daily reality, you no longer just manage time, you master it. And once you master time, you master your life.